Welcome to the Lunch and Learn with QWF. Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Nous sommes ravis de vous souhaiter la bienvenue ici en ligne. Je vais continuer en anglais. I'm Riley Palanca. I'm the Membership Services Coordinator at the Quebec Writers Federation. As we begin, we give thanks and we remember. We give thanks for the land we live on and the waters that surround us, and we remember that Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, the land upon which QWF has made its home, has been a gathering place for millennia and still remains the unceded territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka Mohawk people and other First Nations. We recognize the stories and ongoing oral practices of the indigenous peoples of these lands, which inform our work as writers and literary artists. We remember that we, First Nations, Métis, Inuit, settlers, immigrants, and people brought here against their will, live in this country together. We must never forget our experiences and roles and those of our ancestors in colonization and subsequent injustices, and must strive to live alongside one another in peace, mutual respect, and as allies to steward the lands and waters that sustain us. We must walk gently and respectfully on these lands and commit to investing QWF resources and efforts towards this goal in friendship, esteem, and in the pursuit of justice and equality. So just some housekeeping. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded on QWF's YouTube channel. Please keep yourself muted unless you have been given the floor to talk. There will be a question and answer session at the end. You can put any questions you have in the chat, but we may not be able to answer them until the very end. Rest assured, any written questions will be answered today, though. So this presentation is divided into 3 parts. First, I will talk about opportunities, programs, and activities QWF delivers that might be of interest to aspiring or emerging writers. Afterwards, Laurie Schubert, the executive director, will talk about opportunities for established or mid-career writers. Then John Wickham, the communications officer, will go over our website. Finally, as promised, we will end with a Q&A session where we will open this to the audience for any lingering concerns. Allons-y. So first, who are we? The Quebec Writers Federation. We are an art service organization that provides English language programs, services, opportunities, and community for aspiring, emerging, and established writers and the wider community. So this session is part of a quarterly series where we present our various programs and services to new aspiring, or even members who've been with us for a long time but might not know everything that we do. So one of the biggest activities we hold, of which we are best known, are our workshops. We hold workshops during the spring and the fall. The spring workshops are open for registration right now. They usually take place in the evenings, the majority of which have 8 sessions that meet weekly, though they can vary. And we also have 1 or 2 day intensive workshops that take place during the weekend. I also want to mention that most of our workshops happen in person at our office, but for the majority of those, we do hold 1 or 2 virtual spots for people who want to attend but are unable to come to the office for reasons of disability or distance. I like to discuss the workshops in 2 parts. First, as you can see from the screen, we have craft workshops. So these are workshops where one can learn about the craft of writing, specifically with certain genres like poetry, nonfiction, short story, playwriting, etc. We had some very interesting ones lately, like how to write about trauma without being annoying, and how to write weird fiction. So all these workshops are led by accomplished professional writers, and participants can expect to develop their writing through feedback and exercises. So majority of the workshops on our website, some of them have sold out, but some of these that I have here are open, like this workshop for freelance writing, and this workshop on elder queer storytelling. We still have a few slots available. In addition to our craft-based workshops, the other type is the professional development workshop. So we are committed to supporting writers in all stages of their careers, and that means understanding the life cycle of a writer. We have grant writing, podcasting. We had one on how to create an offer website. We have this workshop by Sherwin on publishing. And actually recently, a couple of years ago, we had a masterclass on how to handle rejection. So actually, all these four workshops you see on the screen right now are all open. So if you're interested in learning how to, submit a grant, if you're interested in a little bit of editing, if you're interested in what to do once you finish writing a novel, register for this. This one, Systems for Writers, is an interesting one. It's more like how do you handle time management, and productivity as a writer. So complementary to our workshop series is our Lunch and Learn. You are attending one right now. This one with QWF, we do this every 3 months. And in between those 3 months, we invite other organizations or speakers to deliver presentations monthly, either to speak on a hot topic that is of interest to our members, such as how to get translated, or how to work with a literary agent, or how to get started in video game writing. We also introduce an arts-based organizations to our members. Like last year, we've invited Carte Blanche, Playwrights Workshop Montreal, Yes Montreal, Torret House Press, and Montreal Fringe. And we haven't officially announced it yet, but the next one in February is going to feature Throw Poetry Collective. So if you're interested in spoken word and what it's like to be a slam artist, go to that one as well. It's close to the end of February. So moving on from workshops and lunch and learns, another opportunity for emerging writers is to get direct guidance from a professional writer through our mentorship program. So how this works is that every year we pair 8 emerging writers or translators with an established one. And they work together for a 4-month period to develop a literary project. Each pairing is bespoke and catered toward the needs of the mentee. This mentorship program has a proven track record of success, with many mentees achieving significant milestones in their literary careers. So someone who was part of our 2023 cohort published a chapbook recently. So it's very, very exciting. So the competition, sadly, for the 2025 cohort is closed. The pairings have already been selected, and we will be announcing them, I believe, later this week. If you're interested in this program and you want to be part of the 2026 cohort, a call for submissions happens in the fall. I also want to note that getting a mentor through this program is competitive. If you submit your application, an independent jury will shortlist the top candidates, and then the mentors will select which among the pool they can best mentor through this program. And this all ends in a public reading in June. So the cohort you see on screen was last year's cohort. So opportunities for publication with QWF. We are not a publishing house, but we do have an online literary journal called Carte Blanche. They have an independent editorial team, and they publish 3 issues per year. They accept a wide range of genres, from short fiction, poetry, essays, translations, and even photographs. All accepted entries are paid. So the current entry that's available on their website is issue 49. Issue 50, submissions for that is currently closed, but keep an eye out for submissions for issue 51. So that should be coming out soon. We also have another new publication called Quest. This one is catered towards youth. So if you are a youth below the age of 21, I believe, you should also look into submitting for that. The first issue of that is also out. So I want to pivot a little bit now. A lot of the programs I mentioned come with a cost. That is to say, there is a cost to register for a workshop, or there is a cost to apply for a mentorship. However, we do have scholarships that waive these costs. For example, every season, we offer 4 needs-based workshop scholarships. If there is a workshop you really want to take, but you cannot afford it, you just have to write to us to see if a spot is available, and we can let you take that workshop for free. In addition to the needs-based workshops, we also have the Fresh Pages initiative, which are additional opportunities given in response to the underrepresentation of BIPOC individuals in the literary scene. So it has 4 components. First, we give an additional 4 workshop scholarships per season to a BIPOC individual. So in combination with the needs-based scholarships, this means we give out 8 workshop scholarships per season. For the mentorship program, we have the Mayroot Sarsfield Mentorship. For a regular mentorship program, there is a $30 application fee to be considered. However, application to the Mayroot Sarsfield Mentorship is free, and there is a specific genre that is focused on every year. So this year, it is spoken word poetry. Laurie will talk a little bit more about the Words and Music Show, which is our literary cabaret. But suffice to say that if you would like to learn how to curate your own literary show, you can take part in the guest curatorship at the Words and Music Show. You would be mentored by an established performance artist. Last year, it was QWF President Tanya Evanson. And you would be responsible for putting on an iteration of the cabaret. So last year, the Mensi put on one celebrating Caribbean artists. So the call for the 2025 guest curator will come later this year. So keep an eye out for that and keep an eye out for the amazing show they will be curating in the fall. Finally, one can also learn the ropes of being an editor for a literary journal by taking part in the editorial mentorship at Carte Blanche. Last year, we looked for someone who wants to learn the ropes of being a managing editor. That includes vetting submissions, coordinating writers, and the like. But we also had editorial mentorships in fiction or nonfiction or poetry. So it also rotates every year. And the call for 2025 will come out later this year as well. So to close, I want to reiterate that the Fresh Pages initiative is specifically for BIPOC individuals, that is to say Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. And we really want to make sure that these programs serve these communities. So if you know a promising person who you think would benefit from any of these, please let them get in contact with us so we can talk to them about it. Shut Up and Write. So Shut Up and Write, this is a weekly event that is exclusive to QWF members. Here, the participants gather either virtually or in person, and they write together. So it's a productivity technique utilizing the Pomodoro method that helps one overcome procrastination and find the discipline needed to consistently dedicate time to the writing practice. Participants write for 25 minutes, and then there is a dedicated 5-minute break for socializing and chatting, and then back to another 25-minute writing sprint, and then it goes on in that pattern. It rotates 1 week virtual and the next week in person. This week, we're actually doing it via Zoom on Saturday. It's hosted by one of our regular volunteers, Jessie Gandel. And the in-person sessions are done here in the office, and it's hosted by my colleague, John. So staying on the exclusive perks of being a QWF member, QWF members get exclusive access to our monthly newsletter, which is prepared by John, who you'll meet a little bit later. Our newsletter is chock full of things that are of interest to a writer or literary lover in Quebec. News, events, workshop announcements, contests, job opportunities, and the like. You know, sometimes it's knowledge of an opportunity that could represent your big break. That is to say, maybe a magazine is looking for exactly the type of poetry that you write, or QWF is offering exactly the type of workshop that you need. And don't forget that we advertise our workshops first to our members, and that our members get a good discount on all our workshops. So on the topic of discounts, QWF members also get discounts from various partners. That includes discounts on your book purchases from certain local independent bookstores, workshops, memberships, subscriptions, and ticket discounts from all these other presenters. We have a lot of new presenters. As you can see from the slide, a lot of these were just confirmed a couple of months ago, and we're very excited to share that with you today. Finally, being a member of QWF is being part of the greater literary community of the province. We represent around 975 members. We're at a record high right now. And I like to say that the English writing and publishing scene in the province is rich and vibrant, especially considering the percentage of English speakers in the province. Being part of this community means being invited to networking and schmoozers that we host. We try to do around 3 or 4 every year, including our annual picnic. So last year we had the picnic, we had a book giveaway, we had a karaoke event. We partnered with both Yoke Literary for their Oktoberfest, and then we had an arts open house with Yes Employment, Elan, and Quebec Drama Federation. When we host membership events, we have a buddy system so that, shy or introverted or newcomer members who want to take part can be matched with someone who is already on our network to introduce them around, let them, feel more welcome. And we also have a safer spaces policy to make sure that everyone who attends our events feels safe and unharassed. So before I pass it on to Laurie, I again encourage those of you who are not yet QWF members to join us. We have 3 categories: general, professional, and student. And membership is very affordable, especially compared to writing organizations from other provinces. at $60 for general and professional members and $25 for students. We take registration online and payment can be done via credit card, Visa debit, PayPal, check, or cash. The best thing is we offer a pay what you can model. So no one who wants to be a QWF member will be refused on the basis of ability to pay. With this model, you can decide how much you would like to pay for your membership. You can sign up from $0 all the way to the full amount, and you will still get access to the same services you would had you paid the full price. So that is it for my portion of the presentation. Thank you so much, and I'm going to pass it on now to Lori.
Thank you, Riley. That was great. So very briefly, for established and mid-career writers, I just want to say that we do consider professional development part of what we offer. There are people in those categories who do sign up for workshops. So in other words, we even have occasionally a workshop leader who will give a workshop from 6 to 8 on a Wednesday night and then attend the workshop that's being offered from 8 to 10 because it's maybe in a genre that they haven't really delved into yet. And I would invite any of you who are in the mid-career or established category to just let us know if there's a workshop that you would find useful for your professional development, and we can try to find someone who can lead that for you. I think Riley might have mentioned, but I didn't hear it, that the Lunch and Learns, the other aspect of professional development that applies to all of our members, are in a library on our YouTube page. So John, I don't know if you show that. If there's a moment you can, but otherwise, if you just go to YouTube and look up Quebec Writers Federation, I think you'd find our hub, which has lots of interesting things on it.
I'll put the link in the chat.
Okay, great. I'm going to spend the bulk of my time on two other areas for established and mid-career writers, and those are visibility or recognition and employment opportunities. So the biggest and most glorious kind of visibility that we can give people and recognition falls under the category of the QWF Awards, which are annual book awards, primarily books. We also have now a spoken word prize. These prizes are worth $3,000 to the winner. We feature 6 book genre, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, first book, translation, which alternates each year between into French and into English, and the Ian Ferrier Prize and playwriting. So those normally, for those of you who have a book this year, your publisher should be submitting that for you. There is a little bit of a fee. I think we're charging $35 for that now. If your publisher submits your book and you win, the prize money is not taxable, which is a nice little bonus. If you submit it yourself, which you are welcome to do if your publisher says, oh, we don't have funds for that, or if you're self-published, we do accept self-published books as well, then you still can win the prize, but you'd have to pay tax on the income. We also have a community award, an honorary community award, and we invite everyone in the community to let us know to make nominations for that prize. We have a Writers Out Loud series. We have a selection committee that gets together and decides what events they want to do in a year. So you can't apply to be in that, but we do keep an eye out on what books are interesting, what topics are if we have something that's timely, we would be looking to our members to man or woman the panels or person the panels. So watch for those events. We have a Words and Music series, which has generally 4 events a year. Again, we do have a committee that chooses that. And I'm mentioning this because in addition for our workshops, we have a committee that selects the workshops that we'll offer in the next year. We do accept other people besides board members on those committees. So if you're dying to get involved with QWF as a volunteer in some capacity, you should get in touch with Riley or me about maybe where your interests lie, and perhaps you'd like to join us on one of those committees. We also have an online literary database that has 2,400 books roughly in it by 1,375 different authors and translators. And John will show you that when he's doing his revelations of all the stuff that we have online. Those books, for your information, just so you don't all write to me and say, oh, please put this book on, please put me on. Those books are books that have been submitted over the years for the QSPEL prizes and then the QWF Awards. So since the inception of our prizes under the name of the original organization, we've kept track of all of the books that have been submitted, and that's what's on that database right now. We do have an annual residency. It's called the Max Margles Writing Residency. It's actually not just for mid-career and established writers. It's for fiction writers only. But if you're an emerging writer or even a so far unpublished writer, you can apply for this residency. And that's because the woman who, Mrs. Margles, who sponsors it, didn't want to limit it to people who were already successful. We have a jury that we put together that includes, because the residency takes place in Ireland, we always have one Irish writer on the jury, and then we have generally the previous year's winner of our prize is another jury member, and then we have a third person that we get from somewhere in Canada. We have a Hire a Writer directory. The idea of starting this a few years back was that we have many members who are trying to make a living in Quebec in English, maybe can't do it through their literary writing, but they offer other services such as coaching or mentoring, such as editorial services, such as translation, such as corporate writing. And we have a directory which John will show you that you should consider if you're trying to make a living. That way we give you the visibility to a larger world. It's called hireawriter.ca, and it does seem to be very well SEO'd, so people do find it when they're looking to hire a writer. We also have a program. It's not our program, it's Writers in Cégeps, and then there's also Writers in Schools that are run by our sister organization, the Union des écrivaines et écrivains québécois, but we form the committees that evaluate the applications that come in English. And those, as a member, you would be receiving the calls for applications for those programs. If you get, for example, selected for the Writers in Cégeps program, you would go on to a directory that's on our website that's available to all the Cégep professors, and you'll get some guidance from us on how to actually get gigs. And then you do get paid for those appearances that you might do in a Cégep classroom, but it's not QWF that actually runs the program and pays you, it's our sister organization. All of that you can learn more about later on our website or by contacting me directly. We also have a program of literary dinners and teas that we recently relaunched, whereby we send writers out to people's homes for dinner or book club meetings with tea or dinner, and generally the guests, it's a fundraising opportunity for us, so the guests pay usually about $50 each for a dinner that the host offers, and that money comes to QWF. So if you have literary credentials that are professional and you're interested in getting involved, getting onto the list of people who can be invited for those dinners, let me know that directly. And just a special word about something else we have, which is a partnership with the Association of English Language Publishers of Quebec. It's the Read Quebec Book Fair, which takes place right before the holidays, so usually very end of November or beginning of December. That book fair, this is sort of I'm saying this sort of as a heading off complaints that your book isn't included in the book fair. That book fair is really paid for by the Association of English Language Publishers. That's another membership organization. So those members are publishing companies based in Quebec who publish in English, and it's their books that are generally featured. However, we try to get some books in there beyond that, so usually it's the finalists for the QWF Awards that end up in that book fair. But it's a great event to go to if you're an established writer and to make connections. You go around, you see all of pretty much every publisher in Quebec in English has a table at that event. And so you can talk to them, let them know what you're up to, find out what they're interested in publishing, and kind of strategize based on that information. And of course, you meet other writers there. I'm going to move on now to employment opportunities. We hire or pay out payments to over 200 writers every year for gigs that we offer them or for publications that we do for them. So the categories are the juries for the QWF Awards, for the College Writers Award, for the Writers and CEGEPs. We hire all those jurors, and for the mentorship and the residency. So we hire a lot of writers as jurors during the year. If you're interested in doing that, you can let me know. We also, of course, hire writers to lead the workshops. You'll see that almost all of the workshop leaders that we bring in are from Quebec, and most of them are members of QWF. We also have the mentorship program, which Riley went into some detail about. The call for applications to be a mentor takes place in September every year, so you can watch for that. Again, as a member, you'll get these notices in a timely way. So I encourage you to join if you haven't already done so, if you're interested in participating really fully in our activities. Same thing with the Fresh Pages diversity. There are 3 paid positions a year for mentors. I don't know if Riley mentioned it, but the mentees, for the rest of you, the mentees in that program are also paid an honorarium. That's a very special project if you're selected for that. We have the Writers in the Community program, which is our largest single activity. We have 10-week workshops that we offer at various schools and group homes, prisons occasionally around the province to work with at-risk kids. If you are experienced working with at-risk youth, if you're interested in that program and you'd like to eventually become involved in that, let me know. We have a storyscaping program, and this year we will be putting out an announcement that we're looking for some new workshops for that. This is a sort of a less professional development intended for writers and more writing related workshops intended for the community at large. So we offer these workshops throughout the province. There are several English language communities up north, Quebec City area, Eastern Townships, Gatineau. So we deal with community organizations that are serving the English community, and they would choose a workshop from the list that we post online, and we would either send a writer out to do a one-day workshop in person, or sometimes they're divided over multiple days, in which case we do them online. So if you have a fun short story workshop or a memoir workshop, or if you do poetry and know how to make zines and want to offer a workshop in something like that, craft oriented, that might be something that would work for you. And we should be putting out that call for applications pretty soon this year, early part of the year. There's a Carte Blanche and Quist. Riley, did you mention Quist? I don't remember. Yes.
Very in passing.
Yeah, those are our 2 places where people can submit work for publication. Quist is for youth, Carte Blanche is for anyone. But in terms of employment opportunities, we hire the editors for those publications. So those announcements come out on a sporadic basis as needed. I don't think there's anything open right now. I did want to mention that we do have a spot on our webpage that John should show us where you can see if there are any openings for positions at the current moment. Let's see what else. Just special projects, I think, is the last thing. This year this past year we were funded by the Conseil des Arts de Montréal for a special project to be done in the West Island. It's partially completed, and some of the aspects of it are still ongoing through this spring. It was called One Planet, Countless Words or Worlds. There's an L in parentheses in there. So that and the Rosalind Margley's Young Writers Contest, which is done at the Côte St. Luc Public Library. We hired jurors for that and people to be clinicians to work with young kids on their writing projects that they'll be submitting to the contest. So those things come up. That one has now been 2 years in a row. It may become a regular project for us, but there are always special projects that appear during the year. Best way to find out about them is to be a member, because we send out notices, as you probably know if you are a member, every month with all sorts of opportunities, and in some cases we send out special notices if things come up during the year that are warrant very specific attention. So I think I'll stop there and turn it over to John so we can stay on schedule And I see there are some 5 things in the chat. I don't know if anybody's been answering those. I'll take a look while John's talking, and if there's something I can answer, I will do that. Go ahead, John.
Great. Thanks, Lori. I think those 5 notices are probably mostly me filling the chat with various links to stuff and whatnot. Yeah, great. Hi, nice to see so many familiar names and faces in here. And for those who do not know me, I'm John Wickham. I'm the communications officer of QWF. So in that capacity, I manage our content, our marketing, email communications, and social media. And I'm also here to support QWF members with some of their own publicity pursuits. And I'll use this as an opportunity to briefly touch on that as well. But for the main portion of this, I am going to be showing you our qwf.org website, as well as a few of the other websites that we own that Lori mentioned. So I'll just share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see that? Great. So this is I'm just going to rearrange the little camera view for Zoom. Give me 1 second here. So this is our website, qwf.org. And I expect that if you haven't been on here before, you'll probably take a chance to take a look at it. And you'll see kind of at a top level the main overview of things that are happening on our homepage here. So you can see that we have an announcement about our winter spring workshops at the top. And then you'll see a whole bunch of things that Riley and Lori have mentioned. The Hire Writer directory, I'll show you that later. A news post for a featured member. Every 2 months or so, we publish an interview with one of our QWF members and give them a bit of a publicity run. And our latest one is Christopher Dorado here. Another news post, you can see kind of like a random sampling of events we have going on, and then various other links to different programs and activities that we offer on the homepage. I think a lot of people are pretty comfortable just exploring these sorts of links. You can see a whole bunch of different services and programs that we offer through this main menu here. Under activities, you can see all of those various programs and activities that Riley and Lori mentioned, including our workshops, mentorship program, storyscaping, Shut Up and Write, Writers at Sageups, Max Martley's writing residency, et cetera, et cetera. Something that I think a lot of people don't notice so much is this secondary menu right above that main menu with our news, calendar. Those are kind of 2 main components that I want to show you today. Our news section is where all of our calls for applications, calls for submissions, and other announcements, news, and recent activities go. So anything that has happened recently, you can check out here. For example, we have right now a discount from Guernica Editions for a book that was published right in 2020, 2021. Lori, do you know if it was 2021 that Chronicling the Days was published?
I think it was 2021, but I wouldn't swear it.
Right, okay. Anyways, Guernica Editions has offered to give a discount for this book that we published, where we got a whole bunch of QWF members to write a short essay or a brief kind of recollection from the first few days or the first few months of the pandemic. So that goes there. You can see our workshops there as well, and everything else that's happened recently. You'll also see that we have all of these category buttons on the right-hand side in the sidebar. So if you wanted to be more selective and narrow down, find something more specific that you're trying to look for in these news postings, you can do that here as well. For example, if you wanted to see all of our interviews of various featured members, you could select featured member, and you'll see all the interviews that we've done with various QWF members. Likewise, we don't have any job postings at the moment, but if you wanted to drill down and find job postings, you could see all of those by selecting job postings in that sidebar. Okay, next I want to show you the QWF calendar. So this is our community calendar where we're posting all the English language literary events that are happening in Quebec. These are both our events as well as events put on by anyone in the province. So it is, kind of like we like to think of it as the main repository for events that are happening in Montreal and the rest of Quebec. So you can see that there are not only our events, for example, this Lunch and Learn with us right now, but there are also things like journal launches, panel discussions like here, more launches, et cetera, as well as our workshops. You can also filter through this calendar to try and find more specific events. Especially when we have our workshops going on, you'll notice that they tend to come up quite a bit on the calendar. So for example, we have Tanya's workshop on grant writing here. For each instance, it pops up. Let's say you don't want to see workshops, you just want to look at what book launches are happening. You can go to these filter buttons up here, select category, and here you'll see the whole list of various categories. You can select book launch, and that'll show you all the book launches that are happening and coming up. You can also filter by cost. So let's say you want to only see free events. You have this slider scale that you can use to select only free events. Likewise, some people want to see what's happening more with a bird's eye view. By default, this is the display for various events, but you can also change that display. So let's say you want to see what's going on from a month-to-month basis. You can select this button here that says list, go down and select month, and you'll see everything that's coming up in the month. So it's got a whole bunch of features that you can play around with to see whatever you're looking for specifically. I mentioned as well that this calendar isn't just for our events, it's for everyone's events. And you might be wondering, how do you get, how do you publish an event like that? We look around and try to add events ourselves, but we also have this button here, the submit an event button, and anyone can submit an event. I'll show you how to do that now. You just click this, and then it'll bring you to a submission form. You can enter your event title. So let's say you have published a book and you want to publicize your book launch. So you can enter your title, book launch for John Wickham. Enter a description. I'm launching my book. You can select your dates. So let's say January 29th. You can even schedule multiple events if, for example, it's a festival or something like that. You can select an image. You can also enter an event category. In this case, I'll enter book launch. You can add a venue and a link if, for example, you have ticket sales on like Eventbrite or something like that. You can enter a cost. You can submit the event then. And once that's submitted, that'll go to my colleague Riley, who just skims each event that's submitted to make sure there's no spam. Once they've looked through it, then we'll publish the event on our calendar and you're good to go. Likewise, if you have any sort of news of that sort, whether it's a book launch, whether it's a book that's being published, please let me know about it. I'm always happy to publicize that information, both on social media and in our monthly newsletter. Riley mentioned that I put together a newsletter each month. The January one will be coming out shortly. And we have a section in there called Member News, where we publicize news items from our members. So if somebody's published a book, we'll mention that in the member news. If somebody has a book launch coming up, we can also publicize that. If somebody's won a contest, et cetera, et cetera. And likewise, if you have something that you would like QWF to share as a QWF member, I'm always happy to help with that or provide any sort of support or guidance if needed. You can just email me. All of our emails are pretty simple. Mine's just john@qwf.org. It's just our first name at qwf.org. Likewise, I would recommend, if you're not already a member of our Facebook group and you have Facebook, to go check it out. I'll put the link in the chat here. Oops. So this is our Facebook group called the QWF community. Lots of people like to share news about their publications or other things that are going on, or even ask questions about, best practices or professional development and that stuff. And there's a really lovely, helpful group of people in there that are always willing to answer questions, share information, whatnot. So if you do have Facebook and you're not yet a member of that group, I definitely recommend you check it out. Okay, next I'm going to show you a few other things that Riley and Lori mentioned. So one of the other websites that Lori mentioned was our Hire Writer directory. You can find that either under our activities panel, you'll see it here, Services and Funds, Hire Writer directory. You can also go to our Resources tab, and you'll see it here. That'll bring you to this page, and we'll go to hirewriter.ca. So this is our directory of professional writers, editors, literary coaches, so on and so forth. Initially, it was more so exclusively for professional writers offering literary-oriented services like manuscript evaluations, coaching for publication, that sort of stuff. But we've expanded it over time. So there's a lot of people who also offer corporate services here. You'll see kind of a smorgasbord of various services that people offer on here, whether that's corporate writing, manuscript evaluation, ghostwriting, so on and so forth. If you need help with refining a manuscript, if you need help with editing a manuscript, looking for a proofreader or a sensitivity reader, this is a great place to look as a first step. These are all writers who have been vetted by a committee managed through QWF. So all of them have professional credentials to their names. To see all of the writers, you simply press this button directory, which I already went to. And you'll see here they are organized by genre or, kind of overarching categories. So here we have academic writers, arts and entertainment writers, corporate writers, fiction writers, government and nonprofit, et cetera, et cetera. You can, explore all the list of writers that way, or you'll see that we have these search features on the left-hand side here. You can either search for specific keywords or services, or you can select them from these little drop-down menus. So you can filter by genre here. So let's say we're a fiction writer and we're looking for an editor to help us out with a manuscript. You can select fiction, and that will show you all of the people who specialize in fiction. Let's say we want to drill down a bit more, though, and look specifically at people who are offering editing services. You can then select filter by service, and you'll see the various lists of services here. You can go to editing, and there you go. You can go to one of those people's pages, look at their services, their background, all of that stuff. And at the bottom, you'll have a contact form where you can get the ball rolling with them. If you're a professional writer and you're interested in applying to join Hire Writer, you can find all the information for that from the menu on the Apply page. So here you'll see the eligibility criteria and the application procedure, and you can simply follow that, and we'll get back to you after you've submitted an application. Okay, next I'll show you the Quebec Books Literary Database that Lori mentioned. So again, you can go here from the Resources tab, just go to the QWF Literary Database of Quebec English Language Authors, visit the database. So this is where all of the books submitted to the QWF Awards and its predecessors awards. This is where they're all stored and archived. And so you'll find that this is a great place to explore Quebec's English language literary history as well as contemporary books. You can explore the catalog using these various functions. You can search by book categories, children's, fiction, nonfiction, plays, et cetera, et cetera. You can also search by year, but you can also search specifically by award category and award year. So let's say you want to look at all of the winners and finalists for our fiction awards over the years. You can select fiction here, and you'll get to see all of them arranged in alphabetical order. Likewise, if you wanted to see all of the award winners and finalists, let's say from our awards last year, you can do that easily by going to award years, select the year, and there you'll see all of the books from last year. It's a great way to find new reading material. I find I often go here to consult it and look for some new books to read. Riley also mentioned that we have various perks and discounts with bookstores or other organizations. I'll show you where you can find that on the list of all of those discounts on our website. Under membership, you'll see membership overview here. You'll see some information about who should join QWF. And then further below that, you'll see our internal benefits. And then below that, you'll see all of our partnering membership discounts. And as Riley mentioned, we've been working to forge new partnerships with several organizations, both in Montreal and outside of Montreal, to offer more discounts and other benefits to our members. So if nothing else, I assume if you're in this meeting, you probably like books. You probably like reading books. We have discounts with a whole bunch of different bookshops around town, whether it's Argo Books, Day Still, Pulp, and you'll see that most of these bookstores will give you a 10% discount on regularly priced books. To take advantage of some of these discounts, you'll need to present a QWF membership card. Further below this, you'll see some instructions on where you can find that membership card. When you sign up to become a member, you'll receive an email from us containing an electronic version of your membership card. So if you don't know where to find that membership card, you can go into your inbox, and I'll show you here. I've just searched your Quebec Writers Federation order has been received. That's the excuse me. That's the subject line that you should search for. And then look through your emails for one of those emails, and you should see this membership card here. You can take a screenshot of it, you can print it, cut it out, whatever way you want to present that card, you'll be able to use it then at those bookstores or various partnering organizations. Okay, and I think that's all I wanted to show on the website. So that brings me to the end of my portion of the talk. I think we can open it up to questions now. Feel free to enter any questions you have either in the chat or unmute yourself and just say them aloud.
Are you all overwhelmed?
Terry has a question. Do you have any resources to help emerging writers find a literary agent? Last year, we held a lunch and learn with a literary agent where she talked about, what she's looking for, where she talks about the process of finding one. That session is recorded. And Terry, if you can just send me an email, I can send you the recording of that session so that you can watch it and learn directly from the agent. I'm sorry, just gonna go on a roll here and read the other questions. Daniel
I'm sorry, I'd like to add to
Go
that,
ahead,
Rob,
Laura.
if you don't mind. I mean, we also have a resources page that I believe has a link to a site that lists literary agents in Canada. But if you just go to Google and type in literary agents in Canada, you can easily find those lists. And obviously you need to do some due diligence and figure out what kind of books they're representing. You don't want to approach people willy-nilly. Make sure that you're approaching the right agency for the kind of book that you're writing. Thanks, Ryan.
I also just put in the chat the link to the Lunch and Learn with Sarah Baracco, who is the literary agent who spoke about how to find a literary agent.
Perfect. So no need to email me, Terry. So Danielle, what happens if you accidentally delete the email? Just email us and we'll send it to you. In fact, I'll send it to you right now. Like as soon as I stop talking, I'll send it to you. I have it in front of my email already. Helen was asking how much does it cost to become a member? The normal fee is $60 for general and professional for the general and professional category. $25 if you're a full-time student. But again, we have a pay what you can policy so that you can pay all from $0 all the way to the full amount. I see
I had a
Melody. Go
question.
ahead, Melody.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've applied to the mentorship application a couple times to be a mentor. And yeah, I was just wondering, like, what aspects of the application are more important? Like, is it more publication history or is it more like teaching experience? Like, how are they adjudicated? Like, could anyone?
Right, I can take that one.
Okay.
The committee is, so whereas we do have availability, we do allow people to submit self-published books, and I don't know if that applies to you, but I just
Hmm.
want to make a clarification. For some of our programs, we don't work with self-published authors, so that's one thing that could be an issue. I would be happy to talk to you one-on-one, Melanie, about
Oh,
your
yeah.
situation, but yes, we are looking for people who have a strong publication history, but it could be one successful novel with a recognized publisher, as
Yeah.
long as it's complemented by some teaching experience. I
Okay.
do know that the jury is very serious. I sit in on the jury meetings. They are very serious about we do ask for a philosophy statement of your approach to
Mm.
mentorship. They really read that and they really think about it. And sometimes will say,
Mm.
so I'd be happy if you want to talk sometime. You could resend me the last application, and I can try and. I mean, I'm not on the jury myself, but I could try and see if I can spot anything that could give you a better chance next time. The other thing is we get a lot of requests
Yeah,
for
yeah.
only 6 positions generally. So sometimes it's just a question of, you know, luck of the draw almost. I
Yeah, I
hate to
totally
say it that way,
understand.
but yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
anyway,
understand.
happy to talk to you about that.
Okay, thank you. I'll contact you next time they open if I'm yeah having trouble with the application. Thank you.
Just to be clear, I didn't mean you had to wait. So if you want to do it sooner, I'll be happy to do it with you sooner.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually doing a course on teaching right now, so I'm sure that will help my application. So I'll wait until near that time. I think that'll probably be the best time. But thank you.
I'm going to say one more thing because I want to give as much help as I can. If you've never led a workshop, it might be better to apply to lead a workshop first and then get some credentials that way for teaching. It might help you get, because the mentorship is at a sort of a higher level.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you. I'm also going to apply to teach a workshop sometime. I didn't realize they were conceptual. Usually I've applied once to just teach just like a standard poetry workshop, but it's helpful to see the descriptions of the existing poetry workshops because I see that they're like, they're always focused like quite concretely on a certain theme. So that's good to know.
I'm going to stick with you one more time.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
true. They often are. However, we do occasionally like to find something that's for new writers. So it could be this is a fun, generative, especially a one-day workshop. If you've never worked with us before, that might be a good thing to apply for. A one-day workshop on, writing, with just lots of prompts and sharing of work.
Okay, thank you. That was another question I was going to ask is about which angle is underrepresented in the workshop. So thank you. I'll stop talking now so someone else can ask a question.
I just realized this talk about submitting a workshop proposal made me realize I completely forgot to share the job opportunities page on our website that Lori asked me to share. So I'm going to put that in the chat now. You can find it under the About section of our main menu. There you'll also find a link to the workshop proposal form. So if anybody is interested in proposing a workshop for our workshop series, you can find that form there and fill it out. And we accept those forms any time of the year. Um, it, I forget when the cutoff is for when we're devising our upcoming workshops. Is that in the summertime, Lori?
Usually the deadline is in June or July.
June or July, right. So if you submit a workshop proposal after June or July, we'll consider it for the subsequent year of workshops.
But there will be a call for applications for that coming out in the spring. John, could you also would you mind also putting a link to our office hours? Because after, how many years after we went home for COVID, Riley and John and I have all been working primarily at home, although we've been going into the office occasionally. We've decided this year we're going to give regular office hours, so where you can find us if you want to come in. So John will show you, send you a link to find our office hours. So if you want to, it's best to make an appointment always, but we're going to try and honor these hours as much as possible this year.
Yeah, absolutely. As Laura was saying, so we'll be in the office Tuesdays to Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So each of us will be in one particular day. Riley's in on Tuesdays, hence the background in Riley's screen. I'll be in on Wednesdays and Lori will be in on Thursdays. So if you have a particular question or you want to drop by and ask us about anything or pay your membership fee, something like that, feel free to drop by. I do encourage you, as Lori was just saying, send us an email just to make sure that we'll be around, we'll be free and not in a meeting or something like that. And yeah, you can find our office hours on that link that I just put in the chat. Are there any other questions? Any final question?
If you do think of something, you can always email us later. If you know, you don't have to ask it now unless our emails are always open, so are our phone lines. And as John has mentioned, we are here at least 3 days of the week, sometimes even more.
Looks to me like we're pretty much done. It's 1 o'clock, so
we kept it under an hour. We kept it to an hour.
This was our challenge. We've been doing these for a little bit longer. And one of our board members attended the last session and said, you know, I think an hour and a half or hour and a quarter is too long. So we decided we would try and keep it to an hour today. So you asked just the right number of questions.
Yeah.
Riley, you want to sign off for us?
I think that is it, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate that you all took time out of your busy day to listen to us talk about the things we love to do. And I'd love to hear more from you, whether or not it's your phone, it's your email, or you're coming in. If you have any questions, we're always here for you. Thank you so much for coming. We'll call it here now. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.